Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna just get us started as folks are continuing to come in, just with what's called in Jewish tradition a nigun, or a wordless melody, just to set the tone, and then we'll get started. So listen, sing along if you feel like it. Nai, 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 nai. Nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai. Die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die, die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die, die. I'd like to say hello and welcome, especially to those joining us virtually on YouTube or on Facebook on the Temple's feed. On behalf of the Phillips, Mitchell, Anderson, Luckett, Patton, and Butler families, and I hope I got all the names, I want to welcome and thank you all for joining us today to celebrate the life of and mourn the death of Sal DeLenzo Phillips. So I'm Rabbi Salem Pierce, and I'm the Director of Spirituality at the Institute of Southern Jewish Life, which is an organization that's housed in this building. Beth Israel Congregation, which has served the Jackson Jewish community for more than 150 years, is where we are, and so there are offices in this building, but it's also mainly a synagogue. And I also wanted to say welcome on behalf of Rabbi Eric Gervis, who is the interim rabbi for the congregation. He has teaching responsibilities right now, so I just want to welcome you into this space on his behalf as well. I'm so honored to be officiating as we commemorate this moment. And just so you know, I'm doing so because Jackson is Sal's birthplace, and Judaism became Sal's home. So we're here to pay tribute to him as a Jewish man, also honoring the many other identities that he held. I didn't have the privilege of meeting Sal, And I'm really, really sorry to say that, especially today, because I've loved getting to know him through the memories and reflections of those who knew him best. So if you've never been to a synagogue or to a Jewish funeral, welcome. I'll be explaining the things I do as we go along, and there will be opportunity to follow along at certain points in these blue siddurim or prayer books that are in the benches. Just a note, like most books written in Hebrew, right? They open from right to left, so it can be confusing. But I'll give you page numbers as we go along. So in Jewish tradition, the funeral service has a couple of purposes: to honor the dead and to comfort the bereaved. And I know Sal was such a careful steward of the memories of those who predeceased him, like his mother, his aunt, his grandfather. And so today, we are here, virtually or in person, to honor him by carrying on that legacy. And it's in doing so that we find comfort after his death. So I'll just note that in keeping with Jewish tradition, Sal will be buried in a plain pine box. We learn in the book of Genesis, in Genesis 2:7, the eternal God formed a human from the soil's dust, blowing into the nostrils the breath of life, and the human became a living being. And we learn from this that the soul comes from God, God's self, and when a person dies, the soul returns to its source. And in Jewish tradition, we believe the same is true of the body. And we learn in the book of Genesis also, chapter 3, verse 13, "For dust you are, and to dust you will return." So I want to invite anyone who has one of the Kriya ribbons. We'll now mark the Jewish tradition of Kriya, which means tearing or ripping. We do this for a couple of reasons. One is that it is a physical symbol, right, of the fact that something has changed forever, indelibly and always. There is a rip in our hearts, in our universe, because Sal is no longer with us. So when we do that, it is an acknowledgement that things are different. And the hope is, the best hope, is that God, our communities, our friends, our family will comfort us. We will be able to accommodate that grief, but we know we will never be the same again. So I invite you, if you are wearing a ribbon, you can take a moment right now and just do a little rip. It should rip pretty easily. And that is the Jewish ritual of Kriya, of tearing, our physical reminder. All right. So we'll now turn to Psalm 23, which has an important place in various places in the Jewish liturgy, not just in the context of death, but it's also recited on Shabbat, on the Sabbath, on the Jewish day of rest. And I think that speaks to its power, envisioning the world as it could be, where our needs are met and where we are comforted. So if you want to turn with me in these books, and let's see, oh, there's a couple right here in this front, if someone wants to grab this for folks that are sitting in the front row, if you want to, right in front of you, yeah. There's like some in the seat right there, if you want to grab a couple, yeah. So it should be 576, it's at the very back. Yeah, and you can share. 576, we'll turn to Psalm 23. great. Everyone has books. If you need any more. 576 at the back. Psalm 23, and this book has the Hebrew. It has what's called transliteration, which is the Hebrew words written in English, and then it has English translation. So I'm going to sing it first in Hebrew, and you can follow along, and then we'll read together in English. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai rohi lo hexar, bino deshe yarbid seni, el me menuchot yanachaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, Nafshi yeshovev, Yancheni b'magalei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begeit salma avet, lo yirara ki ata imadi Shivtecha umishantecha, Shivtecha umishantecha, Hemanacha moni taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged sorerai, dishanta Vashemen roshi, dishanta Vashemen roshi, dishanta Vashemen roshi, kosire vayam. Aktov, Achtov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai Veshavti beveit Adonai, Veshavti beveit Adonai, leorech yamim, yai Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai dai dai. I'll invite us now to say the psalm together in English. There are English words, a translation at the bottom of 576. You can say these words, or you probably know the King James Version a little bit better. And I'd say whatever version you like, even if it sounds a little cacophonous, all of us saying different words. I think Sal would appreciate that. I also think God can hear us no matter what words we're saying. So let's say together Psalm 23, a psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I lack nothing. God makes me lie down in green pastures. God leads me to water in places of repose. God renews my life. God guides me in right paths as befits God's name. Though I walk through the valley of deepest darkness, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You spread a table for me in full view of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My drink is abundant. Only goodness and steadfast love shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai for many long years. All right. I'd now like to offer a creative translation of Psalm 91, which is kind of known as a psalm against evil spirits. And this creative translation was done by Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, who is the founder of Renewal Judaism. Alav HaShalom, may his memory be for a blessing. And Renewal Judaism is known for being very charismatic, lots of song, very, very mystical. And so I hope you can hear some of those influences in the psalm, in this translation. So Psalm 91. In concealment you dwell, Most High Almighty, you linger in the shadow. I say to you, Adonai, you are both my safe haven, my bastion holding me. I must trust you, my God. You save me from entrapment, from putrid scourge. You cover me under your shelter. You keep me safe under your wings. I am protected by your truth. I am assured by you. Do not panic, facing night's terror, a bullet shot in broad daylight, a blight creeping in the murky dark, a wasting plague at high noon. You will not be harmed. Though 1,000 fall near you, a myriad at your right hand, you look just steadfastly ahead, and you will see how malice will get its rebuke. Yes, you, Adonai, are my defense. I am at home with you, high beyond reach. You assure me. No mishap will befall you. Your tent will be safe from harm. Angels are appointed to care and watch over you wherever you are. They will bear you high on their hands. You will not strike your foot against a stone. Snakes and wild cats will avoid you. Lions and serpents will get out of your way. You assure me. Because you long for me, I will rescue you. I will raise you up because you know my name. When you call me, I will answer you. I will free you and esteem you. I will make you content with your lifespan, and I will have you witness how I bring deliverance. All right. We'll next turn to Psalm 121. It's on page 577 in the books, just right across from Psalm 23. I'll sing just the first few lines in Hebrew, and then we can say the English together. Esahenai el harim me'ayin yavo hezri. Esahenai el harim me'ayin yavo hezri. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim va'aretz. At the bottom of 577, let's say together, I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. Adonai will guard your going and coming, now and forever. I've spoken a little bit, but I'd now like to invite whoever feels moved to come up here on the bima, on this sanctuary. Come up right here, and if you want to share, you all knew Sal better than I did, and I'll just encourage anyone who wants to speak to share a memory or two. What is something that you want us to know about your time with him? What do you want us to remember about him? We won't have a chance to share everything, and this will be just one moment that we'll have to mourn and to remember Sal. But if anyone wants to, I encourage you to be brave if you can. Come up. I can stand here next to you, or I can give you space to please share something if you feel moved. Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Hi, everyone. My name's Donovan. Saul was that person that you just know when you met him that this is someone special. The first thing I noticed was his smile. And then the second thing I noticed was his beautiful mind. The smartest man I've ever met. Wealth of knowledge, miles wide, and I would say more than an inch deep. We could talk about anything. He always had at least some baseline of knowledge for whatever we talked about, but things we didn't know, we Googled together. He was the best communicator I ever met. He was so intentional. The first time we ever went on a date, we made a calendar invite for it. Didn't know that calendar invites could make your life feel so stable. But Sal was just that. He always glued people together. And one best way to do that would send a calendar invite to start that cementing process. I locked you in on this date. We're going to make sure we come together now. And that's what he did. He brought people together. I'm so grateful to have met him, however briefly, because I truly believe that that was my person. And I know he'd be happy that he could bring us all together today. And I thank you all for tuning in and being here to celebrate his memory. And thank you to his family for raising such a wonderful man. And that's all.
Would anyone else like to share?
Just wrote a few memories down. My name is Joshua Maxey. I had the pleasure to know Sal in Washington, D.C., where we attended synagogue together. We're here to remember our dear Sal, who was a truly remarkable man with an indelible mark for love that he placed on all of our lives. As we gather this morning in the spirit of community, we are reminded that Sal was not just a friend, a brother, a son, a grandson, a partner, but he truly was a light. He was a guiding light for all of us. Sal was the embodiment of kindness, warmth, and generosity. He had this incredible way, as Donovan just said, of connecting with people. Didn't matter who you were or where you came from, Sal had this uncanny ability to make you feel seen, heard, loved, and valued. He was a master at building bridges, not just between individuals, but between all communities. I first met Sal in January of this year, although it felt like we had been lifelong friends and soul brothers for eternity. Sal contacted me on LinkedIn, which is such a DC move if you're familiar with DC, and he messaged me and said, "Joshua, Happy New Year. I hope this message finds you well and in good spirits. I'm looking into converting to Judaism, and I found your name online in several articles and newsletters. I would love to chat with you over coffee about my journey." We ended up meeting for coffee and having a more than 2-hour conversation that morning about my work in DC with Jews of color, with leading a synagogue, with the LGBTQ plus community, and the ups and downs of often being the only person of color in a boardroom. What I thought would be only a 30-minute conversation turned into the most precious and impactful 11 months of my entire life. Our bond grew even tighter as we shared many Shabbats together, lots of dinners and drinks, and almost daily phone calls and messages. Sal used to tease me all the time about how booked and busy I was, and often reminded me to take time to take care of myself, but also to spend time with family and friends. No matter if I was giving a speech to the Jewish community in DC, participating in a panel, hosting an event at an embassy in DC, Sal was always there, and he was always right in the front row to cheer me on. And at the end of the event, he would always make sure that he would introduce himself to new friends and new acquaintances. And he would do it in the way that he could only do by saying, "My name is Sal, your pal Sal." That is who he was. Once he let you into his life, he instantly cared for you. I had the honor over the past several months to support Sal through his conversion to Judaism in his process at Addis Israel congregation in DC. We shared many conversations about the basics of Jewish practices and customs, and even tackled major theological questions. Sal's love for Judaism was deep and unwavering. He took great pride in being part of a tradition that celebrated inclusivity, compassion, and justice. And as someone passionate about building community for Jews of color, Sal knew the importance of creating spaces where everyone could belong. At Addis Israel congregation, he didn't just attend services, but he made it a point to be a part of the heart and soul of the community. He didn't just believe in the power of community, he actively worked to make it stronger and more inclusive for all. In Jewish tradition, it's customary to receive a Hebrew name upon your birth. Our Hebrew name, some would describe, would be a spiritual call sign for us. And it is fitting that upon Sal's conversion, he chose the name of Or Ma'er, which loosely translated in English means the one who gives light. And that is exactly what Sal did. He was a beacon of light, not just for his love of his faith, but in the way he loved and supported those around him. His kindness and support was ever present. Sal made people feel safe, valued, and cherished, and he gave so much of himself. There's many more that I can say, but as you can tell, I give speeches for a living. I don't want to go on forever. But I just want to leave by saying that the greatest gift that Sal gave to me, and I'm sure to all of you, is his light. And it is in his memory that we will continue to carry on that light. We're heartbroken in this moment for losing our dear brother, our dear friend, but his light is not gone. His light lives on in all of us, in our stories and in our memories of him. Sal Phillips will never be forgotten. His legacy will live on in every conversation that we have, in every connection that we make, in every memory, and in every act of kindness that we show. He was and always will be a light that guided us. And so may his memory forever be a blessing for all of us and for our entire community.
Would anyone else like to speak? It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to. And if you feel like you want to get up here and you're gonna cry, you can bring someone else with you. And also, it's okay. All right, sir, please. Yes. Don't forget to tell people who you are. Yeah.
Greetings. I'm Mel. I met Sal. We crossed on the same line in our fraternity. And I send my condolences to the family.
Please.
Good morning. My name is Tyler Streeter. I was one of Sal's best friends. We met somewhere around 2005, 2006, so about 20 years. I was a sophomore at Tougaloo College, and Sal was still at Murrah. We both attended Murrah, but slightly different times. And I just wanted to say that Sal was one of a kind. We spent so much time together, so much time on the phone. Myself calling Ms. Butler's house phone to talk to Sal for hours. And we just had so many fun times. I mean, that's what I want to remember Sal by, just the laughs and the fun times. It's really hard to understand everything that's going on. But it's such a great loss. He was so funny. He could light up a room with his smile, his humor. As someone said, he never met a stranger. He would, we would spend time, in restaurants, and I would find myself a little jealous because Sal would get all the attention. Everyone was so drawn to him, and it was such a good thing to be his friend. He was so smart. And so professional. I knew from the moment I met him when he was 15 or 16 that he would be something special, that he would be someone powerful, whether it was becoming an attorney or even going into politics at some point. Sal just had this ability to do anything he set his mind to. I mean, I felt like Sal could conquer the world. And so I just want to say to the family, I'm so sorry for your loss and our loss and the world's loss. Sal was truly loved.
Anyone else feel moved to share? I was about to say, I'm a rabbi and a teacher. I can sit out the silence. So,
Good morning. Many of us knew Sal at a young age. Okay. Many of us knew Sal at a young age. Many of y'all know me, Amanda, Keisha, and Ty. You know that we are some hard bulls. And Sal had to grow up in the house with us. So you know that he is a strong individual to deal with 4 other girls. Sal was a protective spirit. Regardless of what happened in life, what we went through in life, Sal made time for us. Sal was a little black boy out of Jackson, Mississippi that wanted so much more for himself, and he did that. He got to travel. Sal has gone places many of us only dreamed about. So to just be here and just stand here, it's so unreal. But I find comfort in that he got to live his life in the way that he saw fit. And Sal was unapologetically himself. And he was never one to just play around. He was very direct. It was either he liked you or he did not like you. He was not going to sugarcoat anything with you. I don't care who you are and where you came from. But if Sal took you in, you were family. And I want to thank you all for coming and showing your gratitude and your love for him on this sad day. I would like to say more, but I can't. I want to thank you all for coming.
thank you so much. And Thank you for modeling being up here and crying. And if anyone else wants to get up here and say a few words, even if you're going to cry, it's okay. And King, I'm just going to invite you by name because I was told you might want to say something about your uncle. You don't have to, but if you want to, please. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Josh. I met Sal in 2012. And it's so funny after hearing y'all's story that I felt like I knew him differently, but I think that we all knew him the same. Like when y'all talk about Amanda, when you said that whether he liked you or he didn't like you, that is so true. He would be very blunt. And he was also one of the funniest people I've ever met. When I think about him, I think about my last conversation with him. And whenever I was going through something, I would call Sal. So I called him, was like, so this happened, my feelings a little hurt, and we're on FaceTime. So if you know Sal, I was like, what do you think I should do? Sal said, he's the funniest man that I have met, very caring soul, and I just want to say to the family, like, we're mourning with you. To lose him it's been a tough one. It's been a tough time, but I find solace in all the funny stuff that he has sent me. Y'all, I was looking at my emails the other day, and he, every now and then he'll let me have it. He may say something, I won't say up here, but he'll let me have it. And when I go back, when I'm feeling like like I'm missing him, or I'm just like, man, I can't believe Sal, I just go back to those emails, or I go back to our messages, or just think about some of the stuff he said, and it brings, it kind of brings me some happiness and lessens the grief. And much like others have said, like, thank y'all for raising him the way you did. I think y'all all impacted him in many ways, and we appreciate him. Love you, Sal.
Anyone else? We'll have, I know that you all as Sal's beloveds will have more time in the coming days, weeks, months, and years to remember him. I'd now like to recite El Malay Rachamim, which is a memorial prayer, one we say on behalf of the deceased. And you can follow along if you want on 582 in our blue books, 582. El Malay Rachamim Shochen Baromim Hamenatse Menucha Al Kanfei Hashkina Bema'alot Kedashim Utehorim Kazohar Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Or Meir Ben Avraham Vesara Shehalach Le'olamo began Eden tehi menuchato. Ana Baal harachamim yastirehu beseter kenav leolamim. Vitzror bitzror chayim et nishmato. Adonai hu nachalato. Veyanuchu al mishkavo beshalom. Venomar Amen. Fully compassionate God on high, to our loved one who has entered eternity, grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, please enfold in the embrace of your wings or Meir ben Avraham Vasara, Sal Phillips, and secure his soul in eternity. God, he is yours. He will rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. We'll turn now to page 594 for a short reflection before we say Mourner's Kaddish. Mourner's Kaddish is a prayer in Aramaic that's recited for 11 months after a person has died, and then once a year on their yard site or their death date. So on 594, we read a poem by Chaim Stern. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream. To be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools, this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. It's a human thing, love, a holy thing. To love what death has touched. And we'll continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Page 598. And it is the custom of some people to rise during Mourner's Kaddish. You're welcome to, or you can stay seated if that's your custom. Page 598. Yidgadal v'yidkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'rechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imru, amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all on earth. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. I want to conclude by saying that today is a new phase in the life of Sal Phillips, one which will be carried by all of us who knew him. And it's upon us to remember him, to talk about him, and to live his wisdom and his legacy. Sal was many things, as we've heard: a lawyer, a traveler, an adventurer, a learner, a seeker, a fighter. He was a lover, a smiler. I saw pictures, that big smile. He was a brother, uncle, son, friend, partner, grandson. I think when someone so young is taken from us, it's natural to wonder why. Why? And in times like this, what I say to people is there an answer that would make his death okay? I think the answer is no. There's not. Because nothing about this is okay. He died before his time. I was heartened to hear the full life that he had of travel, of adventure, of work, of friends, of family, of hobbies, of learning, of always striving to do more, be more. But he should have had decades more of that. And I think it's okay to be angry and to ask why. I also know that there's no answer that I can think of that would make it okay. And that's part of what we will be living with, is the not okayness of this. God willing, it will get easier. Our lives will accommodate this huge grief that we have, but it won't be okay. So I say to all of you, keep asking Sal's family how they're doing. If they're not up for sharing, they'll tell you. But don't be afraid that you're going to remind them of this loss, because they are going to be thinking about it all the time. It will always be with them. And it's comforting to know that someone wants to help them remember Sal. So keep talking about him. Keep remembering him. Keep living his legacy. The stories we've heard today are just a small piece of his very full life. And I want to say to, and I hope I get these names, to Markeisha, Taikisha, Kasuri, Sienna, Dominique, Shedrick, Cedric, Jacob, Michelin, Margie, Cheryl, Donovan, and the rest of his family. I want to say to you, Hamakom yinachem etchem b'tok sha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the omnipresent, may God comfort you among the rest of the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And may Sal's memory be always for a blessing. Thank you so much. This service will be followed by interment, I think, in the cemetery. And I just want everyone to, I think in Sal's memory, look at each other and try to smile as he would have, just for a moment. I know wherever he is smiling at all of us here. Thank you so much. And may his memory be truly the blessing that his life was. Nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, nine, nine. Yeah, nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, nine, nine. Yeah, nine, 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 nine. Yeah, nine, nine. Yeah, die, die. Yeah, die, die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, 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 die. Yeah, die, die. Yeah, die, die, yeah, die. Yeah, die, die.